Hi, I'm Captain Jack Springle. I'm here to talk to you today about wind-on leader systems like the new AFCO Psycho Pro leader system. Wind-on leaders are something that have been around for a long time, but understanding where the wind-on has its purpose or just the reason for a leader in general has a few different points you want to consider. Number one, since most of us are fishing with braided line now, or even if you're fishing with monofilament, it's extremely advantageous to be able to use fluorocarbon for your leader system. I've mentioned it before in other videos, but fluorocarbon has a very similar refractive index to salt water. Refractive index is that same thing that light does when it bends colors and shapes, where if you stuck a straw in a glass of water on a windowsill, it would look like the straw was separated. What does that mean fishing? What does that mean with fluorocarbon? Well, when sunlight hits fluorocarbon, the light passes straight through. When fluorocarbon is used as a leader system, it's much less visible to fish than monofilament, which would actually bend light. When you look at monofilament underwater, you'll actually notice rays of light coming off one side of it at an angle, and that's because of refractive index. So having fluorocarbon leader not only gives you a clearer, less visible leader system, but it also gives you a more rigid and a more abrasion-resistant leader system than standard monofilament would. Since most of us are fishing braided line, it becomes an issue of how do we get that on there. And if you're using something like a swivel on the end of your braided line and then tying on your fluorocarbon, you're very limited to the length of your leader overall, and you risk damaging guides on your rod. So enter the wind-on leader system. Wind-on leader systems have been around for a long time, especially in the fly fishing world. In fact, a lot of the technologies in fishing have just started meshing over the years. Things that came from fly fishing are used in even jig and casting techniques for big game tuna. It's remarkable how much of it has become interchangeable. Wind-on leader systems that are pre-made, like this one here by AFCO, make fishing very easy. You could attach a leader system to the end of your braided line by tying a complicated knot, maybe an FG knot, or purchasing a tool like a PR bobbin tool, and it allows you to be able to get a leader on there. But in the heat of battle, having a pre-made wind-on system can be a complete game changer and have a massive income in the total amount of fish you catch during the day, and drastically affect the overall efficiency of your crew if everybody understands how to use them. And the idea, while it might seem kind of complicated at first, is actually extremely simple. It's nothing more than using a loop in the end of your braided line to attach to a single loop at the end of this leader system. You'll notice here at the very terminal end of this leader, you have fluorocarbon on one end that is served, kind of like a Chinese style finger trap, that is actually pushed up inside of a hollow core braid. And then that alone holds with powerful resistance. But then they go a step further and they do what's called a serve system. That's what you'll look at here. You've got a served leader system here. So right where that braided line is pushed up inside with fluorocarbon, they've taken an additional piece of line and they've done a whip finish on there to keep a nice tight transition and allow that to come on and off the guides without it backing off or bunching. At the opposite end of that, they've taken the loop itself and spliced it back into the braid, and it's created a 100% break strength loop on there. So what you end up here is with a leader system that breaks about 20% stronger than most other leader systems available on the market. Now I'm going to show you a couple of different terminal connections that you can do on the end of your regular braided line. Some simple, one more efficient that has an absolute 100% break strength that'll allow you to take advantage of this rapid interchangeable leader changing system. So while there are a variety of different knots to create a loop at the terminal end of your braided line system, for me there's about 3. And those in order of simplicity to more complex are a triple surgeon's loop, a spider hitch, and a 22 turn Bimini twist. For me, what makes me choose those, if the fish of my lifetime or if I have about half second to make a choice and get a cast to a fish moving rapidly, there is no knot quicker to tie than a triple surgeon. Triple surgeon's loop, you're going to do nothing more than create a double-up loop in the terminal end of your line. Pinch it near the terminal ends. Create an overhand knot, which will look similar to a 6. And you're going to pass that line through 3 times using that loop as your terminal end. Once, twice, 3 times. Then work that down nice and clean. And it creates a solid terminal loop in the end of your line, especially if you're in a hurry and you don't have a lot of time to cast. I have landed school bluefin on this knot, and that creates a very quick loop to be able to attach to your terminal end of your wind-on leader system. Next up in the hierarchy of knot preference is the one I use the most to do any of my wind-on loop-to-loops, and that's a knot called the spider hitch. Slightly more complex than the triple surgeons, but not as complex as the Bimini, and about 98% effective as far as breaking strength goes, which is significant when you look at the actual breaking strength of line overall, especially once you've doubled it. To do that, you create, just again, a simple loop at the end of your line by pinching it over in a bite. But then what you do is you take your tag end and you make a loop again. So I've taken my loop and I folded it under to create an additional loop. Okay. Then you're going to take this long tag end, using it like one piece of line, and you're going to wrap it around your thumb 5 times, each wrap in front of the next. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to take that tag end and put it through this loop. One thing I'll do is I'll tighten this loop up a little. So you take that tag end, place it through the line like so. And before I pull on this to finish the knot, I'm going to clean up by pulling on these, which will shrink this loop. Pull back. And then by pulling on this loop, I'll let each one walk off one at a time off my thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull them tight on all tag ends. Make sure you pull evenly. And then that will create a powerful knot. This knot is very strong, holds up, and it gives you a nice powerful loop at the end of your line to be able to attach this terminal system. The last knot is more complex, and I'll need a stunt finger, but usually you're generally going to use a doorknob or a cleat on the boat. You just need one little point of anchor once you've gotten your twist in it. And that's a 22 turn Bimini twist. Very powerful knot, 100% break strength. Actually gives you a little bit of shock absorption as well. It's probably the most effective loop knot on the planet. And you're going to start off again with that same loop on the end. You're going to twist it 22 times with your hand. 1, 20, 21, 22. Okay. Now what you're going to do is get a stunt finger just to create a little bit of tension on your loop. And then what you're going to have to do is I'll bite the end of this, and you're going to place a finger down in the crotch of the line here, and you're going to pull evenly, putting a significant amount of tension on it until all of a sudden you'll notice the line wants to walk back down itself. Once it walks back down itself, like that, you'll get that nice double wrap. You take your tag end of your line, and you go around each leg of the terminal loop that you've been creating. Keep tension there. All right, one tag, and that was on this leg. Now I'm going to isolate the other leg with a half hitch, like so. And then you can just do a triple rizzuto, which is nothing more than a triple hitch. Those 2 leg hitches hold everything tight. It's not a bad idea to leave yourself a little more tag here, but you're going to wrap through 3 times instead of once like you would do a half hitch. And again, I'm going to go around both legs here. I will undo that just to show you. You also don't want any loops in here. Hold that for me. You want both of these legs clean, and you're going to wrap around both legs this time. 1, 2, 3. You can begin to pull that tight, and then what we do is unwrap the back, which rewraps the top like a noose. 1, 2, 3, and I'll bite that to pull it tight, and that creates what they call a rizzuto finish, and you can pull that extremely tight, and now you have very powerful 22 turn Bimini, which is arguably the strongest of the Bimini knots that you can tie in either monofilament or in braid, but definitely my preference when it comes to braided line. And this will give you a 100% break strength loop-to-loop connection option with your wind-on leader system. Next, I'll demonstrate how to connect those 2 systems, one of 2 different ways, both equally as strong. It just comes down to personal preference. So now that you've created some type of powerful loop in the end of your terminal system of braided line, we're going to talk about how you would actually attach your wind-on leader so that you can fish with it effectively. You want resistance on your main line, so you need tension against the loop you've just tied. Then you take your wind-on system And I highly suggest you leave all of these small zip ties on. If you don't have these little zip ties or twist ties on there, you can put a rubber band around it. And if not, you can just simply leave it inside of the package itself and leave just the terminal loop exposed, which will allow it to pass through the loop system much more easily than if you did a completely uncoiled leader. So don't make the rookie mistake of untangling this and then trying to pass your loop through your loop. Always keep it bunched up. The first connection is the one that I use, whether I'm casting the Cubera snapper in Panama, throwing a bluefin tuna off Cape Cod, or even if I'm attaching my wind-on leader system to drop in 1,800 feet for a giant swordfish. It's a simple one-loop pass. So what you do is you take your loop from your terminal braided line, you take your loop from your wind-on leader, all right, and you're going to pass, you're going to put your wind-on leader loop underneath your mainline loop like so, and you're going to pinch this together tight like so, and pass it through both of those loops evenly, one time. Then you want to make sure you pull evenly with equal tension from the top of that knot, and it's a one-time pass through loop to loop. This is just as strong as passing it through 3 times or 5 times that traditional cat's paw connection when proven in brake tests. The other nice option of this is if you have a rigging needle or even a hook point, if you want to change your leader system out without having to take your knot off, a one-time pass through the loop is very easy to back off manually if you wanted to and be able to change your leader system out that way. If you want a little bit more mental security with it, and there are many anglers that still do this as well, you can squeeze this together and pass it through an additional 2 times, which I will show. Once, twice, and then you end up with this cat's paw style system. And you'll find, again, you want to hold that above for tension and slowly work that down nice and evenly so that both legs of your traditional tied loop here are equal and even. You don't have one leg with more tension on it than the other, and that gives you the maximum benefit of a solid 100% connection. Why are you going to fish this leader system over tying a knot quickly? Again, there is no knot you can tie as fast as just doing a simple loop to loop. And to this day, even though I'm a big fan of knots like the PR bobbin or the FG, I highly recommend this to beginners because it's just a simple knot system. It saves a lot of time. But when I'm on the road and I'm traveling, I'll pack a good 10 of these just in case when I'm out there. If I do chafe off on a fish, I can quickly whip up a loop, whether it be one of those triple surgeons or a spider hitch or bimini, whatever your preference is. Do a fast loop-to-loop connection, and I'm back in the game quickly. And I can have the advantage of having 5, 6, 7, even 10 of these ready to go, and I can have them in different line weight options. So instead of having to worry about tying an FG knot to a lighter 60-pound leader when I'm using a heavier line like a 100-pound line, I can still have an effective 100% break strength connection with the loop-to-loop advantageous connection. Now that we've made the connection between our terminal end of our main line and our wind-on leader system, all you have to do is simply undo the connections that are holding this into a coil and wind it straight onto the rod. Because we've opened this package today, leave a comment below here on the Saltwater Edge and you'll be entered into a raffle to draw to receive this actual wind-on leader, which is an 80-pound wind-on leader system.